Can a struggling Stanley Cup champion truly resurrect the Oilers' crumbling net? Or are we watching Stan Bowman prepare to mortgage the future for a Band-Aid solution? The hockey world is buzzing tonight with explosive speculation from Sportsnet's Nick Kypreos. Speculation that could fundamentally reshape the Edmonton Oilers season and potentially their championship window. According to Kypreos, Team Canada netminder Jordan Binnington is firmly on the trading block in St. Louis, and the Oilers are circling like sharks, sensing blood in the water. But here's where this story gets absolutely fascinating. Folks, Edmonton isn't just looking for a goalie. They're reportedly trying to package a deal that brings both Binnington and a defenseman from the Blues in what could be one of the most complex midseason trades we've seen in years. Let me paint you the picture of what's allegedly being discussed behind closed doors. Stuart Skinner, Edmonton's embattled young netminder who's been hung out to dry more times than laundry on a summer clothesline, would head to St. Louis to partner with Joel Hofer. Meanwhile, Binnington, the 32-year-old veteran with a Stanley Cup ring and a $6 million cap hit, would don the orange and blue, presumably to provide the stability and championship pedigree that's been sorely missing between the pipes in oil country. But before we get carried away with visions of playoff glory, let's inject some cold, hard reality into this conversation. The numbers don't lie, and they're telling a troubling story. Here's what should make every Oilers fan pause before celebrating this potential acquisition. Jordan Binnington is having an absolutely dreadful season. We're not talking about a minor slump or a rough patch. We're talking about a statistical nightmare that ranks him 55th out of 67 regular NHL goalies with an .880 save percentage. Let that sink in for a moment. The man Edmonton is reportedly targeting to solve their goaltending crisis is posting numbers that would make a backup goalie blush. Now, Stuart Skinner isn't exactly lighting the world on fire either, sitting at 50th with an .885 save percentage. But here's the million-dollar question. Actually, the $6 million question. Why would Edmonton trade for a goalie who's performing worse than the one they're desperately trying to replace, especially when that replacement comes with double the salary commitment? The answer, my friends, lies not in the statistics of this particular season, but in the intangibles, the resume, the championship DNA that Binnington brings to the table. This is a goalie who stood on his head in 2019 to deliver St. Louis their first ever Stanley Cup. This is a netminder who just backstopped Team Canada to Four Nations glory, making absolutely spectacular saves when everything was on the line against the United States. This is a competitor who thrives under pressure, who elevates his game when the stakes are highest. The championship pedigree versus the current reality. Let's be brutally honest about what we're witnessing here. Both organizations are looking to move on from underperforming goalies, which tells you everything you need to know about the current state of both netminders. If Binnington were dominating in St. Louis, there's zero chance he'd be available. If Skinner were stealing games in Edmonton, Stan Bowman wouldn't be fielding calls about potential replacements. But championship experience matters. Playoff performance matters. And while Binnington's regular season numbers this year are concerning, his track record when the lights are brightest cannot be ignored. During last spring's playoff series against Winnipeg, Binnington posted a .901 save percentage across 7 games. Not spectacular, but solid and reliable when his team needed him most. The Oilers are a team built to win NOW. Connor McDavid isn't getting any younger. Leon Draisaitl just signed his massive extension. The championship window is wide open, but it won't stay that way forever. Sometimes, you need to look beyond the current season's statistics and bet on a proven winner who knows what it takes to hoist the cup. The financial gymnastics that make this deal complicated here's where this potential trade becomes a high-wire act without a safety net. Binnington carries a $6 million cap hit for this season and next, while Skinner's expiring deal sits at just $2.6 million. That's a $3.4 million difference that Edmonton would need to navigate in a salary cap world where every dollar matters. For this trade to work, the Oilers would need to either convince St. Louis to retain a significant portion of Binnington's salary, which seems unlikely given that the Blues would already be doing Edmonton a favor by taking on Skinner, or Edmonton would need to sweeten the pot considerably with additional assets. We're talking draft picks, prospects, or potentially another roster player. This is where the reported second component of the deal becomes absolutely critical. Kyprios mentions that Edmonton is trying to extract a defenseman from St. Louis as part of this package. If the Oilers were to include Brett Kulak, a veteran left-shot defenseman making $2.75 million with no trade protection, suddenly the financial math starts working better for both sides. But who would Edmonton target on the St. Louis blue line? The most logical candidate appears to be Tyler Tucker, a 25-year-old left-shot third-pairing defenseman with a bargain basement cap hit of just $925,000. Including Tucker would help offset some of the salary differential while giving Edmonton a younger, cheaper option on defense. The risk-reward calculation that will define Bowman's tenure. Let's step back and examine what's really at stake here. Stan Bowman is still relatively new in his role as Oilers general manager, and this could be the defining move of his tenure in Edmonton. Make the trade and have Binnington return to his championship form? Bowman looks like a genius who identified a buy low opportunity on a proven winner. Make the trade and watch Binnington continue struggling while Skinner finds his game in St. Louis? Bowman becomes the scapegoat for mortgaging assets to acquire an expensive, declining goalie. The pressure in Edmonton is absolutely suffocating right now. The fan base is restless. The media is relentless. Every loss feels like a referendum on the team's championship viability. McDavid and Draisaitl are performing at elite levels, but inconsistent goaltending has cost the Oilers crucial points in the standings. Something needs to change, and it needs to change soon. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in Edmonton wants to acknowledge. Trading for Binnington isn't a guarantee of anything. It's a calculated gamble that a change of scenery, a return to a contending team, and the pressure of playing behind two of the best players in the world will reignite the fire that made Binnington a champion in the first place. What the Four Nations tournament revealed, the recent Four Nations tournament provided a fascinating glimpse into Binnington's current state. Early in the competition, he looked shaky, uncertain, almost like a goalie fighting his own demons between the pipes. But when Canada needed him most, when the game against the United States hung in the balance, Binnington delivered a performance that reminded everyone why he's considered one of the most clutch goalies of his generation. Those saves weren't lucky bounces or fortunate deflections. They were world-class stops made by a goalie who refuses to be beaten when everything is on the line. That's the Binnington that Edmonton would be trading for. Not the one posting in .880 save percentage on a struggling Blues team, but the one who elevates his game when the stakes are highest. The question is, can that version of Binnington show up consistently in Edmonton? Can he recapture the form that made him a Stanley Cup champion? Or has the game passed him by, leaving behind only the memory of what he once was? The broader implications for both franchises, this potential trade, represents more than just a goalie swap. For St. Louis, moving Binnington signals a fundamental shift in organizational philosophy. The Blues are clearly entering a rebuild or significant retool, and keeping an expensive veteran goalie doesn't align with that timeline. Acquiring Skinner, younger, cheaper, with potential upside, makes far more sense for a team looking toward the future rather than clinging to the past. For Edmonton, this move would be an all-in declaration that the championship window is now, and they're willing to pay a premium to address their most glaring weakness. It's a statement that management believes in this core group and is willing to make bold moves to put them in position to succeed. But bold moves can backfire spectacularly. Just ask any number of general managers who've mortgaged the future for a quick fix that never materialized. The NHL is littered with the wreckage of trades that look brilliant on paper, but disastrous in hindsight. The verdict: desperation or calculated strategy. So, where does this leave us? Is this trade speculation the product of legitimate insider information, or is Kyprios simply connecting logical dots and presenting them as potential reality? Based on his own language, strongest speculation and potential deal, it seems like this is more educated guessing than confirmed reporting. But that doesn't make it any less plausible. The fundamental question facing Stan Bowman is this: do you believe Jordan Binnington can rediscover his championship form in Edmonton, or are you simply trading one struggling goalie for another while taking on additional salary and giving up assets in the process? The analytics say be cautious. The eye test from this season says pump the brakes, but the championship resume and the clutch performances when it matters most say take the chance. In a league where goaltending can make or break a championship run, where a hot goalie can carry a team through the playoffs regardless of regular season statistics, betting on a proven winner might be exactly the kind of calculated risk that championship teams need to take. The Oilers are running out of time and patience. McDavid's prime years are finite. The opportunity to win is now. Sometimes you need to look beyond the current numbers and bet on the intangibles, the experience, the mental toughness, the championship DNA that can't be quantified in save percentage. Whether this trade happens or not, one thing is crystal clear: Edmonton's goaltending situation demands action. The status quo isn't working. Change is coming, whether it's Binnington or someone else. The only question is whether Bowman has the courage to pull the trigger on a deal that could define his legacy in oil country. What do you think? Is Binnington the answer to Edmonton's prayers, or just another expensive mistake waiting to happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button if you want more insider analysis on the biggest trades and moves shaking up the NHL. This is the kind of blockbuster speculation that could reshape the entire playoff picture, and you heard it here first.